Yeah, so it's just some extracts from the rough cut. And as I said before, it will be screened in a cinematic experience, but at the same time, whenever there's a split screen, it can be distributed through a Bluetooth hub onto a mobile device that you can take the movie, the Bluetooth movie, onto the road, and then when you stand in the city of London and watch it on mobile phone while being in London, I think it's a quite interesting way to create a new experience, which is bridging London and Tokyo through the mobile device, so that you have, a city film watched and experienced in the city as well. And what Sol was mentioning, the film mobile event is a networking event which will take place this Friday, and it really what I wanted to do is, as part of my research, is get together with some people who also use mobile technologies and explore what the medium can do, and also at the same time look at what the business side is doing. I think there needs to be a lot more of a dialogue between different sectors. So what artists do, what filmmakers do, and what the industry is doing at the moment. So I think there needs to be a lot more of a dialogue. So we get together and set up this event, which will be next Friday, and this leads to an 2-day international conference and a 3 weeks exhibition, which will be in April 2008. Okay, yeah, it was a bit condensed, everything in 10 minutes. Thank you for your attention.
But the question is, and this is a kind of non-techie question, is the aesthetic, some of the images are quite blurred and some of them are very sort of turned into little kind of pixels or boxes, I suppose. Is that a kind of deliberate aesthetic, or is that a limitation of the medium?
I'm very much playing with that aesthetic. I mean, so some of my work before, I used DV and Super 8. I think that every filmic device has a language of its own. And if you look at the mobile phones at the moment, there are some phones which use 3GP files, which we all know from these London bombings and such as that, and now the new format MPEG-4. And with the new MPEG-4 format, this whole pixelation will be, okay, thank you, will be completely pushed aside. And I think really no one had a look at the 3GP, what you can do with that before, when it was out there, when it was out there. And really, the years 2005 to 2008, in terms of mobile phone footage, are very much characterized by that 3GP file format. And I think this aesthetic is something very unique about it. So as I said before, for me, it's not a problem, but a feature. So I like to play with that.
Just a quick question. What's the advantage of doing this kind of stuff in an academic context? Because I could imagine the next kind of big film will probably be made by some kind of 14-year-old Japanese girl or something. So I'm kind of just curious, what's the advantage of doing it in an academic context, this kind of film?
Well, for me, as a filmmaker, as such, I think the academic context is quite interesting because I can contextualize the whole work, and lots of my my research has been focused on the 1920s. In the 1920s, the camera was almost a new medium, or was new media, and you could see that filmmakers used to explore that medium in a whole different varieties of ways. So they scratched on it, they reversed it, they looked at different angles. And the most exciting thing in the 1920s was that it opened a window of experimentation, because it's really the time before sound film was introduced. Sound film was introduced in 1929, and that's when the whole studio system came, and then film went very much one route, which we all know. I mean, the avant-garde is still around, and there's still been some experimentation done. But really, the 1920s are very much interesting in terms of the visual language for filmmaking. And I think what we can see now, the mobile phone, or working with mobile phones, offers also a short window of experimentation, which opened up in the years 2005 to hopefully when I finish next year. And I think there's already different perceptions around what mobile phones can do and what they should do, and how people use them, how visuals should look on mobile phones. And if you go to Japan, I mean, it is the time of HD TV. So people don't even consider mobile phones. There is, I don't say now. The whole idea of to really explore what the medium does before the industry introduces one singular narrative, I think was very interesting for me to explore in academic context.
Hello, can you hear me? Yeah. I'm interested in the focus of the content, and you mentioned briefly about during the London bombings that people had submitted sort of mobile phone footage. And today on the news, I saw all sorts of bits of footage from the floods up north. But to me, the most interesting aspect of there being cameras everywhere is suddenly everyone's become a citizen journalist, and there's been stories like from Malaysia that the police have little phones with cameras. One of them sent their phone in to be fixed, and there was footage of them abusing somebody in the cells. The people in the repair shop got this footage out onto the internet. Huge scandals, all sorts of uses, abuses, misuses of this footage. It's going on to like human rights video hubs. Just this week I've heard that Indie Media UK is setting up a mobile facility so that you can send in footage from your mobile. Also you can get latest new independent media from the indiemedia.org.uk site on through to your mobile. So I'm wondering, you know, what's your connection, or are you working at all with these sort of more content focused reporting from the streets, getting news to the streets, more political maybe, human rights oriented, you know, because it's a real transformation and a lot more levels than just aesthetic, I would say.
There's a lot of potential for especially for mobile phones in terms of user generated content. Also not only producing work but also have other people, you know, producing work with yourself. And for my project, which I had to set up now, it was a 3 years time frame, which was quite narrow to produce a feature film and organize the exhibition for it. But still, I was very intrigued and very interested in, you know, pushing the boundaries of that as well. So I started to walk around the University of Westbourne Studios looking for some programmers, you know, people who know JavaScript, because, you know, for me as a creative person, it's a bit difficult working with numbers. I'm a very visual person, and so I found some people who like to work with JavaScript. So hopefully, I'll do some project with them, because I think the idea is the way the project is edited, that could be also, you know, extended into a different way, that people could contribute their mobile phone footage to that as well, and then we could even take it further. But that's something that's still in the process of being produced. And I mean, the content for my own work is I couldn't really talk about that because I just had 10 minutes, so it was, you know, a bit much to cover everything. What my own project is about, as a documentary filmmaker, was exploring spaces which, you know, have not been really shown. So you can see all these hyper-modern Japanese cities, but I also filmed lots of deserted, almost derelict areas, so like a shopping area where there's no one anymore, and things like this. So there's also quite a critical aspect in that as well. But the person you mentioned from Indie Media, he registered for the event, so hopefully he will come, and if you come on Friday, you could talk to him a bit more about that. And sorry?
I forwarded it to him.
Okay, great. Cheers. Yeah, make sure he comes along. Really, yeah, I mean, I think everyone focuses on their little bits and pieces of, you know, what mobile technology does. I'm very much, you know, looking at the visual language of the medium, and if you do a PhD, you have to be so focused, you know, so I would like to do more. See, hopefully I can do, but it's not really allowed always.
Okay, thank you very much, Max. That's brilliant.